Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of
Video Nerds.
I'm the ManNerd, and I'm here with...
Steven Shred. That's me.
That's him. And Steven Shred got me into anime. I was open to it after a convention in San Francisco, and he just told me, you've got to watch this, and this, and this. And one of them, right off the bat, was Demon Slayer. And I am addicted. So this is going to be Demon Slayer Season 3. And to get us into it, Steven Shred's going to give us a little recap. So if you haven't seen Demon Slayer, maybe this will get you to get into Demon Slayer.
Yeah, so I'll just give a very general overview of the show, just in case, you're maybe not into anime. Maybe the story sounds good to you. So we got Tanjiro. He gathers coal, sells it at the market, all that to keep his family going. They live up in the mountains, a small little town. And one day, a demon rolls through and slaughters his entire family while he's out. Now he comes to find that his sister Nezuko survived, but now she's a demon. So they're discovered by a demon slayer, and instead of killing Nezuko, which normally a demon slayer would do, Tanjiro convinces him that she's okay because Tanjiro was able to get a little humanity in her when she attempted to kill him. So he got her to not kill him. So their journey continues. They make a ton of friends, and it turns out that they find a demon by the name of Muzan is behind everything. He has the ability to give people his blood, and if they consume his blood, they turn into a demon. And depending on how much blood he gives them will determine how strong they are as a demon. A lot of your characteristics carry over to your demon form. So Tanjiro goes out and sets out to become a demon slayer so that he too can rid the world of these demons, help people out, and in the end, his goal is to turn Nezuko back into a human, which he is told that if he kills Muzan, it gets rid of the demons. So that's the overarching story. I'm not going to give too much away just in case you want to go through and watch it on your own. That is the overarching story. You get all of that in the first few episodes, so I'm not spoiling anything too crazy. So if that sounds good to you, feel free to check it out. I have been an anime fan for a very, very long time. I started on Adult Swim. They would show after Adult Swim. I'd watch Family Guy because I was a bad kid, watching stuff that I shouldn't have been watching. And right after that, it would show two shows, Inuyasha and Rurouni Kenshin. So I got into anime at a young age, kind of got off it, but then got back into it later. So I was happy to use shows like this to get Mandrew to come over to the anime side.
There's so many good ones. So many.
It's ridiculous how many there are.
All right, so this season, we'll do a quick review of what you thought of the season and then get into spoilers. So what are you thinking rating-wise on this one? What kind of dice are you going to throw down?
Honestly, as an add-on, okay, so two things. As a continuation of the story itself, and the fact that my least favorite character is not in this season, I'm going D20, baby.
Nice.
I loved it.
I'm going D20 too, because it was just so good. It's always good, but this one, once it gets going, once it starts to hit, it just doesn't stop until the end, which is awesome.
And it hits completely different when you're not watching it week to week as well. When you're able to just sit and watch everything, it is just so insanely good, and it just comes together so perfectly. There's not ever a moment where I'm just like, okay, hurry up, let's get through it, I don't care, which I get that quite often. I've watched plenty of movies and shows where I'm just like, okay, I really don't care, can we move on to the next part? Got none of that this season.
Yeah, one good thing about this show is how every episode directly connects. There's no gap in between. The end of the season, there's always a gap because that's just how they have to do it. But in the season itself, it just keeps on rolling, one after the other. So yeah, if you can do it one episode after another, I recommend it. I did both. I caught up before this last season, and then having to wait a week between just sucked. It's so good, and they end it on a high note every time.
Pretty sure they do it on purpose. Every single time it's a cliffhanger because the action just does not stop.
All right, so let's get into spoilers. Here we go.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
We can go through the whole season, or we can just talk about our favorite parts first. What do you think?
Let's just go through let's go very general on the whole season, because I think if we get in the nitty gritty of everything, we'll be here for a couple hours.
Probably. All right, so generally, Tanjiro, he was badly beaten up, almost dead with his friends, Inosuke and Zenitsu on the last season. They had a very hard time with a upper rank demon.
Gyutaro and Daki.
Which they were pretty badass. I actually liked them as demons. They were cool.
Yeah, they were the upper rank 6, which the upper rank and the number is based on their ranking in power. Just in case, just got to fill people in just in case they don't know.
Oh, you do it, man. You fill them in as we need to. You're the expert here. So Tanjiro finally recovers, and then he realizes he has a bad habit of breaking or damaging his sword, which these swords are made with a material that can kill demons. If you behead them, then they die. Other ways that you can't, especially if they're an upper rank, because they regenerate. So this is what demon slayers use, and there is a specific swordsmiths that make these for the demon slayers. And Tanjiro has not gotten his sword. He was in a coma for months, and his sword never showed up. So he decides to go to the swordsmith village and talk to his swordsmith. Is it Hotaru?
Yeah, I believe that's how you say it.
Okay. Hotaru, something like that.
Yeah.
So bad with that.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about this relationship Tanjiro has with his swordsmith?
His swordsmith is regarded as a great swordsmith. He takes very, very good care and very fine attention to detail on the swords he creates. So Tanjiro, being the demon slayer he is, he breaks these a lot. He breaks them more than normal people do, normal demon slayers. Hotaru does not like that. He gets very pissed off when somebody damages his work, and nobody damages his work more than Tanjiro. So they have a very almost antagonistic relationship at this point. But in the end, he just wants to make the best swords possible for Tanjiro. But yeah, there's quite a lot of chase scenes and a lot of chasing with knives.
A lot of goofy chase scenes, because this show can be very serious, but also super goofy out of nowhere.
Yeah, very silly with like little chibi looking scenes. But I think they have like a perfect balance of it.
Yeah, they do. Especially with the amazing animation. And that leads right into Swordsmith Village. Just being able to see that from the top and then coming in, expanding, that just looks so amazing. That animation was great, and it just got better on as the season went.
So we'll continue on. It gets there. Hotaru, I think you say his name, is nowhere to be found. They don't know where he is. The other swordsmiths hadn't seen him, hadn't heard from him. So they're just trying to figure out where he is. And while Tanjiro's there, they run into Mitsuri, and who is Manager's favorite Hashira.
Yeah, the love Hashira. She wasn't at first, and then towards the end of the season, oh yeah, my favorite.
Yeah, which it starts because she was she was distraught because she was being ignored by somebody. She doesn't like being ignored. And it turns out is none other than Genya, who we have seen from previous seasons. him and Tanjiro don't have the best relationship. Genya is kind of a hothead, and Tanjiro broke his arm one time because he was being mean to one of the little girls at the Demon Slayer training. So he's there. He's, pretty rude, pretty mean. And Mitsuri did not like that she was being ignored by him.
Not at all. I thought she was very annoying in that episode. I was like, I don't really like her. And then
she's crying and very whiny a lot. But that becomes an endearing factor later on. And so then later on, Mitsuri runs back into Tanjiro. Nezuko takes a great liking to Mitsuri. She kind of takes her on as like a role model of sorts, Nezuko to Mitsuri. And then she whispers to Tanjiro, who looks very excited to be that close to her.
Who wouldn't?
That there is a secret weapon hidden in the village somewhere.
That will make you stronger.
Yep. So he goes searching for the weapon. He ends up running into the Mist Hashira, Muichiro.
I know I just call him Tokito because
that works too. So he's arguing with somebody. It turns out that they're able to find this supposed hidden weapon. It's framed that it is this kind of like a what would you call it?
Basically, it's a robot, but it's made out of wood and not technology. It's like a magic robot training dummy.
Yeah.
But, no, it would be more like a steampunk thing, right? Because it's like more of clockwork.
Yeah, it's essentially a training tool, and it is built off of this unnamed swordsmith who is supposedly the greatest demon slayer in all of history. And it happens to be somebody who wears a very similar jacket to Tanjiro, has a very similar scar on his face, which has been referenced before because this is something that we've seen a lot. Because they say that through the demons, they can get some of Muzan's memories. Who, again, remember Muzan's demon number 1. He is the first and the creator of all the demons. So through Muzan's memories, we've seen now 2 instances since then of demons fighting Tanjiro and witnessing prior events of Muzan battling this unnamed swordsman. So we now see this robot training dummy kind of thing that's built off of him, and it had to have 4 limbs, I believe, or is it 6?
I believe it was 6.
So it had to have 6 limbs because this swordsman was so insanely talented that the only way they could replicate his fighting style is with 6 limbs, with 6 arms. So we come to find that, and Kotetsu, who is a young boy, is the one looking over this mechanical training dummy. And the Mist Hashira, Tokito, or Takito, however it's said, is arguing with the little kid because he wants to train with it because he wants to become this great demon slayer. And the way you become this great demon slayer is you fight the mechanical training doll, and if you can land a hit, if you can beat it, if you can learn how to be equals with it, you ascend many, many levels. Because remember, this is based off of the movement and the fighting style of the greatest demon slayer to ever live. Somebody who faced off against Muzan one-on-one, and apparently somebody who Muzan fears, because it's constantly talked about, the man with the same earrings that Tanjiro has, with the scar on his face like Tanjiro has. It's something that strikes fear into Muzan's heart. So they want to train. It is a long process, and after they finally get the okay, because the boy doesn't know how to take care of the training dummy, in the way that he would need to allow people to train with it. So he is very hesitant because his father was the one that looked after it. His father's no longer with them. So he's afraid that if they break it, it'll never be able to use it again.
Yeah, and Takedo really puts one off on this thing. He almost kills it, almost takes it down.
Yeah, which is exactly what he was scared of.
Yeah, exactly what he was scared of. So this happens. Of course, he's super distraught. And then Tanjiro is nice, trying to console him. And then the kid decides, you know what? You should train with this. So they get it working again. And Tanjiro starts training with this thing. And he gets better and better. He starts to learn its movements. And eventually there's that moment where he could finally deal the death strike, but he is hesitant because he doesn't want to destroy it. And then the kid looks at him and just says, do it. And he does it. And there is this 300-year-old sword in the dummy. And the reveal is, go for it, man. You're the one that told me before we started here.
The reveal is that the sword, the katana, actually belonged to the swordsman that we are shown. The one that is supposed to be the greatest demon slayer of all time. The one that we talked about before. It turns out that his katana was hidden within the training dummy. So when Tanjiro knocks its head off, he finds it. And that is when we also get to find where Hataru has been. Apparently, he's been training in the mountains by himself and is ridiculously buff now.
He used to be a very skinny dude.
Because he needs to be able to make Tanjiro the sword that he needs. So his whole thing becomes, I need to train, I need to be stronger, I need to figure this out so that I can make this guy a sword that won't break anymore. So he ends up getting his hands on the 300-year-old sword, and that is what is going to become Tanjiro's weapon. So that moment was like one of the goofiest because he just comes out of nowhere and he's just super ripped, and I was like, I didn't even put two and two together that it was the same guy.
Like, wait, what?
It wasn't until he started chasing him and everything that I was like, oh. I was like, that's him.
He just got buff.
Yeah. So then they end up going back to the village. Everything seems fine until the demons show up.
Till the demons show up. This is the episode where it takes off and never stops. Not until the last episode.
Yep.
You get these upper ranked demons that are told to go to the Swordsmith village and destroy it, so the demon slayers will not have their swords. But the Mist Hashira, the Love Hashira, and Tanjiro Nezuko are there. So guess what? Fight, fight, fight. It just starts and does not stop. What was your favorite demon in this one?
Honestly, I think like if we're gonna like have them all as like individual, I would say when I forgot which one he was, because all like the demon itself was named Gyoko, and then there's Hantengu. He's like this small little like crying man with like a big lump on his head, and he's able to separate himself into multiple demons. And I think my favorite was the combined version of them towards the end, because it just looked so cool.
Yeah, and
what about you?
He was able to control those wooden dragons. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is literally what I was gonna say. Yeah, that combined version was my favorite because he's so OP and just badass. Those dragon heads made out of wood was just really cool.
Yeah, it was insane. So from that point on, it just turns into the straight up fights. We find out that Genyu has the ability to eat demon flesh and gain the powers of a demon.
Yeah, regeneration, and which they glossed over that though. They glossed over that.
They did, but yeah. So apparently, like I looked into it after. Apparently, demon flesh is very, very, very hard to cut, but because his teeth are so strong, he's able to bite, and he has a very strong stomach, so he's able to eat the demon flesh, and that's what gives him his abilities. Like, which weird explanation, but I guess it makes sense because you need a special sword to be able to cut their heads off, so you need extra special teeth.
Yeah, that is actually quite funny. In the first episode, Tanjiro goes into the hot springs with was it Genya? Genya's there.
Yeah.
And he throws a tooth, and he's missing a tooth.
Yeah.
And then you find out that he doesn't eat meals with anybody. So yeah, that all ties in now. I didn't see that before.
Yeah. That was like a big thing that I definitely felt got glossed over. It was like, okay, we're not going to talk about the fact that he has like demon characteristics now.
Yeah, and he was literally killed, but he's still alive. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, it was a lot. And then we get the Mist Hashira's background, which, my God, like,
that was heavy.
Yeah, Demon Slayer is a show that, like Mandrew said before, very silly, but then also very serious. But man, when they get serious and when they get dark, it is very dark. So it turns out that Muichiro had a twin brother named Yuichiro. Now, Yuichiro was very mean to him, kind of nasty to him, but they loved each other. They were like, they were twin brothers. It turns out their mother was very sick, so their father decided to go out and get medicine for her, and he died, and then the mom died. Yuichiro turns even meaner because he calls them stupid, because there was no chance that she was going to make it anyways, even if he did get the medicine. This causes a rift between them because Muichiro wants to do the best that they can, and still looking at the world as, what we make of it kind of deal. His brother is very much not like that. His brother has a negative outlook on everything. So it turns into this whole thing of them having this, like, one positive, one negative kind of deal. They end up getting approached by a demon slayer. Muichiro wants to do it. Yuichiro does not. He doesn't see the point in it. And they end up getting attacked by a demon, where Yuichiro is killed, and Muichiro ends up just going mad with just power and anger, and just ends up slaughtering this thing, but is also on the verge of death himself. So they're discovered by the demon slayer. Muichiro's still holding his brother's hand. His brother's long dead. And his brother tells him that before he dies, that part of his name, Muichiro, means infinite. So he's able to draw from an infinite source of power, which is the reason why, random background story, Muichiro is the youngest Hashira. He was able to achieve Hashira status before, I believe, anybody, like as far as age goes. Being that he is the same age as Tanjiro, which I believe they're about 15, 14 in this. And Muichiro is already a Hashira, and Tanjiro is, getting training and everything, but is nowhere near on the level of a Hashira just yet. Very, very dark. But then we go on to learn about the love Hashira, Mitsuri. Very, very different background.
Very different. A young girl who is extremely strong, like ridiculously strong, and has the appetite of like 3 grown men, and is a little too much for everybody. And all she wants to do is be normal and, get a husband. And she grows up and she is rejected by the first person that she was going to marry, a marriage that was set up. She's rejected, and she decides to, fake it to make it. And she finds a nice guy. She's going to be a wife. She's not eating as much as she wants to. She dyes her hair, which her hair is very unique, pink and gold, and she's not showing any strength. She's just pretty much just hiding herself, who she is. And then eventually she says, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to go out there and find a strong man that can appreciate me for who I am. And that's what she wants. She wants to find a husband that's stronger than her. And it seems like that might be hard to find because she is crazy strong. What was your favorite move of hers?
I thought the thing that always came to my mind was the after episode thing where they have her demonstrating, like, because Tanjiro and Nezuko, they're like these little like post-show little like clips. They're not related directly to the show. And Nezuko and Tanjiro are like, how do you put that sword away though? Because her sword is like a giant like whip, and she like twists and does this, and then it just goes in, and they'll just like start clapping, like, I don't know, and then she gets all excited about it. That was like
do it again.
That was like my favorite thing. Yeah.
Yeah, her sword, so awesome. Just like twisty and bendy, and she can use it as a whip and just destroys that dragon thing.
Yeah, like it's like one of my favorite part of the shows, that all of the Hashira have their weapons and everything, and all the demon slayers in general, everything is built for them. So it's like, we have like before, the one with the most characteristic one, you had Tengen, who had this like chained dual knives thing because he was a shinobi, he was a ninja before, so it's like it made more sense for him. So it's like everybody has these like specialized weapons just for them, which I think is super cool. Like it gives the characters more unique qualities than just like everybody having katanas all the time,
Yeah, I see where that's and you know what, the aesthetic of it, one of my favorites is Inosuke's, because he's just got like these two dual wielding swords, but they're like saws. They're hella serrated.
Which is another thing that Hotaru hated when he started taking chunks out of it to make the serrades in his sword. Yeah.
Now, one thing I wanted to talk about, Taquitos, when he went through that, I know. Toquito, when he went through that whole transformation after you learning about where he came from and how he trained so hard, I didn't really get the whole thing about the scars on his face that appeared and then went away, which totally resembled the same scars of the greatest demon slayer, where they got the sword from, and Tanjiro, who has that same kind of scar on his face.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they're going to link that together. Are they related? Can they access the same kind of power? What's going on there?
It's kind of like their version of like Super Saiyan almost. It's a mark that demon slayers are able to achieve, but there is a caveat with it. So like Mitsuri is I believe the first female demon slayer to ever unlock the mark. But yeah, it's basically a way of just like leveling up. Like it's because demon slayers are able to see and conjure memories of past demon slayers, and they're in like it's almost like a shared lineage that they have kind of deal. From everything that I've read and seen about it, it's like it's similar to Muzan with the demons, except it's like, I don't know, like once you achieve a certain level, you have this like spiritual connection to the demon slayers of past, so they're able to summon that mark, and that is in a moment of like extreme power. Like that's where they become most powerful. But there is the caveat: it also means that you are cursed to die young.
Okay. Yeah, I did not get that anywhere, so holy crap.
Yeah, it's more of a background thing. I don't think they talk about it too much in the show, but I've looked into it because it is like a thing that seems to be summoned and then kind of goes away.
Yeah, but what is the whole thing about Tanjiro having it on his face all the time? We don't know.
Well, like last season, he kind of talks about like it's just a burn from like a scar, but I think it's more than that. I think it just meant that I think it might be like a sign of like a sun breathing user or something, because
like the most powerful can use different techniques.
Yeah, because it's there at all times. Yeah, because the greatest demon slayer guy, he has it on his face constantly. So does Tanjiro. And I think there's a little more to it because Tanjiro last season, when they talk about the man with the mark on his face and the earrings like that, and Tanjiro gets really down on himself and he's like, no, it's not me to be destined to be the sun breather. He's like, I'm nothing. This is just a burn that I got from hot water getting on my face. And it's like, nah, I think there's a little more to that. I think there's something that we're not just seeing yet,
Yeah. Oh, one great thing about this, right at the end, there's those two demons. Tokito takes care of one of them. And then Tanjiro... With ease. Even on death's door. And Tanjiro finally gets his first upper rank demon kill, pretty much by himself. He's been through the ringer that whole night, and he should have been dead by now several times, but ends up taking the demon's head off finally at the end.
Yeah, which it is an insane battle. Like,
insane.
They're going back and forth. The main demon is this tiny little, like, it's like the size of a doll, but it divides off into these other 4 demons that then culminate into one extremely powerful demon, and they have to have multiple people take care of that. And then Mitsuri steps in. She takes on the combined demon, and it gets really sad because she's about to die and she's crying. And then that's the moment that Tanjiro kills the main demon, and it is insane. Like the Mist Hashira takes care of the upper rank 5 very easily too. Well, it's like we see him struggle. He gets trapped in like a little bubble. He gets hit with all these spines that are poisonous. But then as soon as he's like kind of like they're just in the 1v1, it just annihilates him, which is the first time that we see somebody 1v1 kill a upper rank in Demon Slayer. Because everybody else, it's like these grueling fights where multiple people are fighting one.
Yeah, not even Rengoku from season 2 could do it. Or not season 2, the movie.
Yeah, which Rengoku was extremely powerful. But to be fair, that is the upper rank 2 versus upper rank 5.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, insane. And then, Tengen last season, they were against upper rank 6. It took him, Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu, and Nezuko to finally put everyone to rest and defeat the demons. Like, it's a lot, and Mist Hashira just takes care of it by himself. He's just like, all right, that's a wrap.
So
and then he collapses.
Powerful.
He collapses after that, but he really shows the the infinite strength, because he's able to summon all of that, defeat the demon, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna pass out now.
Like, I'm done. See ya.
Yep. And then of course, after the big battles, we get to the biggest twist. So Muzan, the number 1 head honcho with the demons, turns out he was actually a very sickly man who was destined to die. He was sick. He had very little time. He brought in a doctor who had all these weird experimental medicines on how to cure him. One of the things ends up working. Not before Muzan kills him, because he says he's a quack and, it's worthless and he doesn't know what he's doing. Then all of a sudden, the first demon is born. Muzan becomes the demon and then goes on to slaughter everybody in his village. And then he realizes that he can't be out in the sun because the sun burns his skin. So the entire time since then, he has been creating demons and giving people his blood because he wants to find a way to be out in the sun, which he has seen something called the blue spider lily in the doctor's notes. But to his knowledge, blue spider lilies don't exist. So he has been experimenting and doing all these things so that he could find a new host and take over their bot and consume their body to gain their ability to walk out in the sun, because that is the last thing holding Muzan back. And we get Nezuko going to help her brother. She ends up out in the sunlight, so Tanjiro has to decide, help Nezuko or go and kill the upper rank 4
before he kills innocent humans.
Yeah, he's chasing 4 of the swordsmiths. So Nezuko decides for him. She kicks him, so he has to go fight the demon. Now he turns around and we think that Nezuko died. It turns out that she got burned, everything happened, and then she is partially human again. She can walk in the sunlight. She can speak again. She still has her demon eyes, her demon teeth, her claws, everything. So she also has the ability to shrink and grow. But she is able to walk in the sun, and Muzan sees this. So now Muzan has found his demon that can walk in the sunlight. What a moment, man.
Oh, yeah. And for once, Tanjiro is not fatally wounded and recovering for months. Even though he kind of should be.
Yeah, I mean, they have to carry him out in like a whole like bed setup and everything, but yeah, he's not like dead. He doesn't need to be discovered like that, like they did for at the end of the last season, where they had to go looking for him and find an unconscious body, like,
or 4 unconscious bodies.
Yeah, like it was an amazing season.
Yeah, this season was a banger for sure, like every other, but it just seems to be getting better and better as it goes.
Yeah, and I like that we're getting our like I guess like for some reason the phrase like we're getting our like pocket stories, because like every season contains its own story start to finish, but within that we are getting the information and the stuff that we need to continue the overarching story as well.
Yeah.
So it's like nothing's getting left behind. Like Zenitsu, I find extremely annoying. That dude is just constantly crying, complaining about everything. So it's like he wasn't in this season. Inosuke wasn't in this season. The rest of them at the Butterfly Mansion, the insect Hashira, her assistant, like they're not in it. But as far as the overarching story, we're getting huge points.
Yeah, huge leaps. Yeah.
Yeah, because Tanjiro already went after Muzan. Muzan has Tanjiro on his, he has him on his mind. But now he's 100% on the hit list, because now Nezuko is the demon he's been seeking for all these years.
It's coming straight for her.
Yeah, so it's like, and now we're through 6 through 4. We only have the big hitters left of the Upper Moon demons.
Which the number 1 looks surprisingly like the greatest demon slayer. Weird.
Yeah, he looks very, very similar. Which I'm not going to read into the manga and everything, because I'm not really a manga reader in the same sense that I'm not really a comic book reader or anything like that. I don't know. I need the
like your medium, your visuals.
I need my moving pictures, and I need my sound.
Yep.
So I'm not reading too far into everything. The only stuff that I wanted to really read up on was the Mark of the Demon, or the Demon Slayer thing, and just get some like clarity on things. Like that's the only things I've really like looked into for like the manga, because sometimes there's like some elements of the story that they just kind of like don't really give a whole lot of detail to. So I'm like, you know what, let's see what's up with this.
Well, I'm glad I asked you about that, because I was like, oh, we can just theorize, but you're like, no, I know.
Yep, it's a good and a bad thing, which makes me very sad, because we've now seen 3 people with it, and that means they're destined to die. But then again, who knows? Because I highly doubt they kill off Tanjiro like that, and he's had the mark more than anybody.
Yep, I doubt it. But if they take care of Muzan, then they're all good.
Yep. We'll see how it all goes. But yeah, D20 100% for me.
Yep, 100% D20. All right. Well, until next time, we'll catch y'all later.
See you, everyone.
We'll be right back.